Welcome to ExE, the Engineer Cross Entrepreneur Podcast. Our mission is to help stuck engineers become the superhuman entrepreneurs they need to succeed. I'm Ted Lai, your fellow stuck engineer, and I'm joined by my co-host, Richard Foley. In this episode, we're talking about the first step any engineer turned entrepreneur should take. That's the first step any engineer turned entrepreneur should take. So without further ado, let's get started. Hey Richard, so last time we were talking and I said that for this episode, we want to talk about the one thing that an engineer turned entrepreneur should do, but we each get to come up with three. I guess I'll go first. So for me, I had a few notes. I had a few ideas. But I know that you're going to be coming in with entrepreneur mindset items. So I had to kind of take a step back and think about what I would do as a pragmatic engineer and sort of give that pragmatic engineer point of view. So when it comes to the three things that I think an engineer could be taking, I mean, it depends on what stage they're in. The one thing they should do depends on the stage they're in. And that's why I came up with three possible items. So the number one thing that I think an engineer turned entrepreneur should do is to get off your employer's laptop. Stop. Do not work on your startup project on your employer's laptop. That's just poor form. The risks are low. I mean, the documented cases of an employer coming after an employee after the employee built a business because, they worked on it while they were employed. There's some really egregious cases where, the law came down, like I don't remember his name, but the Google engineer who uploaded all of his data from the self-driving car and brought it with him over to Apple, was it? Like that one was just cut and dry, obvious. But if you're working on your personal project on your employer's laptop, chances are you're going to be fine, but stop. Okay. Let's move this away. You're going to feel better. Let's reduce your stress. Okay. Number two, what should you do? Start an LLC, create a separate bank account for your business. And this is going to pay dividends in the future, especially if you need to buy a new laptop now because you're not working on your employer's laptop, right? Anything
to set up your business.
Right.
The second thing is all the things that set up your business.
Right. And especially the LLC and the bank account, because once you do that, the things that you do for your business become business expenditures, and that's going to save you so much in taxes later. So that new laptop that you're going to use for your business, that's an immediate tax write-off. It's going to save you money. And third thing for an engineer turned entrepreneur is you probably have an invention in mind. Go ahead and get a preliminary patent. They're cheap. It's like $300. If it's your first invention, somewhere around there, a couple hundred, and you get protection for a year. So you don't have to worry about anybody stealing your ideas. You can take your idea and just shop it around, talk to people. You have 1 year to develop your idea to the point where you feel like you want to patent it. And we are now a first to file system. We used to not be, but we are now a first to file system. So get your foot in the door and get that preliminary patent, and then you are set. You have 1 year then to get the real patent, but that date of when you invented is going to precede anybody else who tries to steal your idea later. All right, I'm done.
It's actually called a provisional patent.
Provisional, thank you.
Clients that I have worked with, some of them have filed it on their own, and some of them have worked with a patent agent, which is a little bit cheaper. Working with a patent agent, the difference between a patent agent and a patent attorney is that a patent agent can't defend it, but they can do the paperwork to get those provisional patents in. So they're a little cheaper. And we actually have some of those in my network that I refer my clients to a patent agent, have patent attorneys also as well. But that's a really good practical step. Okay, so I'll go ahead and share my three things, the sort of the non-obvious things when you're starting the business. one of the problems when people are starting a business, engineers too, is that they think about all the practical steps, like you mentioned, which is all great. The non-obvious steps is that you've got to craft your vision. You've got to craft your vision for your business, the impact that you're trying to make in the world for your business, the impact that it's going to make in your life, having a vision for your life. How is your life going to change? What does your perfect day look like? This is something that we spend a lot of time on when we start the program, so that you're building a business that's aligned to a vision that you're trying to create, a vision for your life, and a vision for the impact that you're trying to make in the world. And I believe that a lot of engineers don't go deep enough into this arena. Is really, what is that impact that you're trying to make in the world? What is the vision for you when you're a multimillionaire from your business? How is your life changing? What are you doing with your time? What does your day look like? How does that money change? What are you giving a charity? Are you buying villas on the south of France? What are you actually doing with that? So really crafting a clear, total vision. The second thing is that you've got to develop a system for moving forward. And that system can be an environment, surrounding yourself with other people that are moving in the same direction. That system also includes having tools and processes that help you to execute. It's all part of the system. An environment, tools and processes that help you to move forward, to execute on a day-to-day basis, not just with project management, but just with your own performance. It's a complete system. There's a lot of pieces that are involved just in the second thing, but really having a system to move forward. And the third thing that you need is that you have to make your move before you're ready. This is probably one of the most important things, is that I talk to a lot of engineers that are thinking about business, and they get caught up into the thing that I need to wait till the perfect time in order, when the wife's not pregnant, when I don't have the operation, when I don't have older parents that I'm taking of, I've got this operation coming up, I've got this legal case coming up, all these things. I'm going to wait for this perfect window timing when there's nothing going along. I have plenty of money saved up for this startup. My ideas are perfect. And when I reach this, and that never happens, you're wasting millions of potential dollars by waiting for the perfect time. You need to make your move before you're ready. So this is probably the most critical of all the steps, is that you have to make your move. That perfect window of timing will never happen. You want to launch your business when things are uncomfortable, when things are not perfect, because when you're running your business, you're having to move business projects forward when things are not perfect. So it's best to start your business when things are awkward, when going on, when you don't have enough time, because that is the real world of running a business. So those are my three things.
Yeah. And, so to summarize, it was number one, vision. What's the life you want to build for yourself? What are the values that you want to bring to the world so that you're consistent and persistent?
Right. And the vision for your life, right?
Yes.
For your life.
Yes.
The second, having a system. Move forward, which is the environment that you're in, people moving in the same direction, and having real solid tools that are helping you execute. And these tools are not the theoretical stuff, not even the things that they teach in the MBA program, but it's really how do you execute from day to day to day, things that we teach in the Micropod program. But that's a really critical step.
I'm almost afraid to go here because I know that you would have so much to say about this. But when you talk about the system, it's not about the theoretical. It makes me think about meditation. And the reason why I say that is because when I wanted to learn how to meditate, I started to read and listen to a lot about meditation and to get to know it better intellectually, right? But the trouble is, then when I sat down to meditate, I wasn't meditating. I was sitting there thinking about all of the things I've learned about meditation. And the same thing with execution as well. So I have undiagnosed ADHD. I know a lot of people say that, but if you look at my family history, if you look at my personal history, it's true. And And one of the things that I've done is I've learned a lot about behavioralism and the ways to help myself without relying on medication. And the other thing that will happen is that I start thinking about doing instead of actually doing. I start thinking about the system that it's like, oh, if I had this and this and this, and then I would be able to execute. And it's like, no. Yes, it's good to have that self-awareness of what helps me execute. But if I'm so focused on those things, I'm not executing anymore.
Right. Which is why we have in our program tons of little tools, Tech 35 tools, which I also like to call micro hacks. And micro hacks, and a very simple one we'll share is to act before you know the details. So action precedes clarity is one of the things that we try to have people to tattoo on their brains when they're in the program. Action proceed. You have to start taking action before the next level of clarity will unfold. So I think an engineer, they want to know that they're doing this right. And even outside, I have a friend of mine who's in the music space, and he's like trying to get his music out there. And he's like, I'm not sure where to go. And I said, take that first song and you put it on the first song launcher that you can find, and you just get started. And this is so key in business, is that you can't overthink the steps. Action precedes clarity is a little tool that we use of many. We have many. Action precedes clarity is a great little tool to help from overthinking.
I think this is a particularly hard lesson for engineers to learn, in part because of how engineers are educated. I mean, the engineering discipline itself is all about iteration. So you build it, you try it, you find out it doesn't work, you build it again. And so you would think that engineers would be good at this. But because when we go to school, you're not allowed to iterate after you turn in the final assignment. Right?
Or the test. So when I was taking the test, I was the last one to turn my test in because I would double check my answers. I would double check. I want to make sure everything was perfect to try to get the highest score. I was always the last one. In the business world, if you're the last one to get your product into the market, you're going to lose. You're going to lose the opportunity.
It can be done. It can be done. Yes. But you're missing out on opportunity, right? If you're launching last, you better have a good reason, right? Maybe if you're launching last because you want to see how the customers are reacting, or because you just arrived late, but you have this great niche on this product, and you already know how the customer is reacting to your competitors, that's great. But if you're launching last because you're waiting and you're waiting for the perfect moment, oh boy, God help you.
You gotta put it out there. You gotta iterate. You can't wait till it's perfect. That's the main thing. One of the main things that I see in working with clients is this perfectionist. I don't want to start talking to customers because my thing it's not pretty, and it's got the features are not all built in, and they're just they're wanting to build this tremendous, which is, it's a nice idea to have a tremendous product. When I launched my own product into the market many years ago called the iPong, I was working with a guy that was helping to launch it. He was like, I gave him the prototype in March, got it launched on the Amazon in November of the same year, 6 months. And I was like, wait a minute, it's got so many flaws and imperfections. And we spent years cleaning up those things, but we got it out there, and we were the number one in that marketplace, the number one low cost ball shooting machine for table tennis. And so it was the right idea to get it out there. If it was based upon me, I would have probably waited 5 years to launch that, and we would have lost the opportunity. So it wasn't a perfect product, but you have to get it out there. You have to launch. Entrepreneurship, entrepreneurs ship. That's a great little thing to remember. Entrepreneurship means entrepreneurs got to ship.
Yeah.
Engineers like to wait.
Listening to your 3 points, I think your 3 things are actually just one thing. Hear me out. Your 3 items actually tie into the one thing engineers need to do to get started, which is to get over their fear of failure.
Oh.
And so vision is part of that, right? Having something to work towards, having something that's worth more than what you're afraid of losing. That's number 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
yeah,
the system is to help you keep moving forward when you are afraid of failing. And then finally, the moving when you're uncomfortable, or I'm just going to call it moving before you're ready. Just move. That is that impetus, right? Not getting so far up your own, excuse the term, not getting so far up your own ass that you over intellectualize it and you forget to do step 3. In fact, maybe step 3 should be step 1. 1, move. 2, get clear on your vision. 3, have a system. And then step 4, move.
And that's why there's psychology that's involved in the work that we do, because there's so much perfectionism, fear. So we're going into the business systems and things, but we're having to deal with psychology. But yeah, getting over your fear and creating momentum would be, 2 good takeaways that people could get from this too, is getting over the fear and then creating a system actually entrepreneurship. The one word for entrepreneurship is just momentum. You can have an MBA and know all the theory, but if you can't create momentum, that's why it's interesting statistic. Only 3% of MBAs who focus on entrepreneurship actually become entrepreneurs. 3%. They have all the theoretical knowledge, marketing analysis, spreadsheets, product market fit, all the theoretical stuff. But if you don't have a way to create momentum, then you're lost. And so that's the core of what we do in this program, is how to create momentum. All about creating momentum.
Have you, in the products that you've worked on, seen cases where somebody might have had more well prepared, more resources, more intelligence, even no offense, poor choice of words, but then they ended up not doing as well because they weren't able to generate that momentum?
Yes, exactly. As I mentioned to you, a story of one of our competitors. We were launching one of the first, ours was a simple table tennis robot. The second one was the world's first table tennis robot controlled by a smartphone. And we had 2 competitors that were 2 brothers that they had a Kickstarter project. They had $600,000 worth of funding. They had the backing of one of the top hardware accelerators in the world. They had all the resources to get this product launched. They had a better idea than us. They were earlier than us by a few years, and they got into this perfectionist mode of trying to launch a perfect product, overthinking the software, overthinking the hardware, double checking the motors, double checking the colors on the finished product. And they just, after 5 years, they never launched. They lost the confidence in their backing of their backers. They lost the confidence of their backers. They never launched. And it's just the saddest story of someone that had all the money, all the resources, a perfect idea, and they just got into this perfectionist mode. They never launched.
It looked so cool too. There were you could control the spin of the ball that was coming out. And was that ever something that you were trying to develop?
Yes, ours on the computer. Actually, their robot was actually built on parts of my first robot that was launched in 2009. There's parts of that, but they had changed it, and they actually came up with a lot of new, different features, and it was controlled by a smartphone. And yeah.
If you could have talked to them and helped them, right? If the tables were turned and instead of being on your team, you were on their team, 2 years in, what might have you done to help them get to the finish line?
Yeah, we would have unpacked some of the perfectionist thinking that they had. It could be related to projects they worked on in school that got failed. And so they said, I'm not going to let that happen next time. I'm going to make sure when I launch my product, it won't be like this project in school. I'm going to make sure it's perfect. And we would have unpacked maybe some of the perfectionist thinking, the psychology that was involved. There's so much psychology that's involved in entrepreneurship. People do not realize that. So that's why when you look at the top entrepreneurs, they have so much self-awareness that you would not believe, either on their own or working with an executive coach. There is so much psychology that's tied into entrepreneurship, which is so we would unpack some of the psychology that was impacting some of the business decisions that they were making.
It reminds me of the Warren Buffett quote. I'm not sure if he was talking about traders or stockbrokers, but to be a successful one, a hugely successful one, you only need an IQ of about 120. Everything else after that is just emotional stability.
Emotional stability, self-awareness is being able to have mental processes that help you to overcome your fears and doubts and things like that as well. Perfectionism, all those things. So that's a high a very strong characteristic of highly successful entrepreneurs is having high levels of self-awareness. And so, we give tools in our program that help, our clients to work on some of these things as well.
All right. So the CEO of Airbnb once said that, he hates doing one-on-ones because it feels too much like therapy. So is he limiting himself there, do you think? Or is there a space for not therapy, but those deep conversations in the workplace when it comes to business success?
I think so. As you're mentoring people who are under you, it's important to manage people from a coaching perspective. Actually, this is a movement that's going on in the industry that you would not, so you don't come down like the mean manager, but you actually coach the people who you're managing. So you have that opportunity when you have one-on-ones to actually have a coaching relationship with the people that you are managing. So I definitely think he's missing out on some opportunity to coach, to inspire, to really mentor as well. Absolutely.
Yeah. So it sounds like we're really crystallizing on one point for engineers turning to entrepreneurs is getting over that fear of failure, getting over those perfectionistic tendencies and making that move even when you're uncomfortable. And, maybe that means, getting off your employer's laptop, setting up an LLC, getting that provisional patent. But it also means, deciding the life you want, deciding what you stand for, figuring out, getting a system to help you move forward. And finally, last but not least, again and again, move. Move.
Absolutely. All great things. Yeah. So all of these things work together. The obvious things, the pragmatic things, the non-obvious things. And so we work on all of those together.
Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure, Richard. Let's talk again soon, and we'll have more exciting content for our listeners.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
That's a wrap on this episode. To find out more about Richard's superhuman engineer entrepreneur training, you can head on over to micropodglobal.com. The first thing you should do there is sign up for a free 45-minute strategy session with the man himself. Actually, quick announcement, Micropod Global is now a partnership between Richard and I. I've signed on to help him manage the business side as the president of Micropod Global, as well as a side coach to bring those ADHD optimized systems that I've developed also into the program. For more about my focus training tool, you can head on over to mindsmithy.com. We welcome your comments and questions on YouTube. You can find the episodes and more at our handle EngineerXEntrepreneur or youtube.com/@EngineerXEntrepreneur. Time to go get 'em. We're rooting for you.